It would help if I added myself. Welcome to Wednesday night live chat with Garage Geek. So I am trying something new. Instead of doing my Friday night chats, I'm trying a Wednesday night live. I think after school starts next week, I will probably be back in my garage, but we will see. I'm still enjoying the AC in the house. In my garage, there's no AC. So, what am I doing today? I am covering movies, shows, books, and comics that I did this week. Now, this week was a nice week for me. I think on Sunday I did a live stream. I was a guest on SideQuest Comics live stream. That was a lot of fun. Then I forget which day it was. Maybe Monday. I think Monday. Yeah. I went to the Devil's Gate Dam and had lunch with my daughter. We visited a bookstore. I made a video about that. It was a lot of fun. So if you haven't seen that, you can go ahead and watch that. Greatly appreciated. So I'm going to start with movies and shows. Okay, because usually I have the least to say about those. So we'll start with the movie. I actually watched a movie last night with my husband. Let me go ahead and find it. Now, this movie was Until Dawn. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. There we go. So I watched the movie Until Dawn, which is based on a PlayStation video game. And I didn't realize that while I was watching this. I saw the promotion for it. It's on Netflix, I believe. And I was saying to my husband, hey, there's a new horror movie because we both like horror movies. Let's go ahead and watch it. I didn't have high expectations. And I think because I didn't have high expectations, I really enjoyed it. There's one other reason why I'm going to really enjoy this, and it's going to be slightly a bit of a spoiler. Here is another movie, a picture from that movie. It's not going to be the best horror movie you've ever seen. There's a lot that they could have done better, but I really enjoyed it, especially because it was a time loop. They get sucked into this time loop, and if they can survive the entire night, then they get out of the time loop. It was kind of a fun way, because I'm really into the time loop movies, and so this was kind of a fun way to deal with that time loop trope. And yeah, I enjoyed it for that. Like I said, I don't think it's going to win any awards, but it was an enjoyable watch, especially if you have Netflix and you like horror movies. I would say this is definitely a C plus, maybe even a B. But if you go in with low expectations, I think you're going to really enjoy this movie. Not a great glowing review, right? Next, last week when I did my live stream, I was asking people, hey, what did you watch? And in the comments, people were talking about Happy Gilmore because Happy Gilmore 2 was out. So I went, they were recommending watching it, and I'd never seen it before. And so I said, okay, I'll watch it. So I went ahead, and that same night, I watched Happy Gilmore. I haven't watched Happy Gilmore 2 yet. And the reason I watched it that night is it said, because on Netflix it said leaving soon, and it was actually leaving the next day. So I knew that I would have to watch it that night, or else I would miss out on the opportunity. And I probably wouldn't watch the second one without watching the first. I'm kind of one of those weird people that does that. So I'm not a big fan of comedies, but I loved this movie. It was hilarious. I don't know why I liked it so much. Maybe, again, I didn't expect much from an Adam Sandler movie, but this movie was so much fun. I was laughing. There's one great line, I wrote it down. Friends listen to Endless Love in the Dark. This movie is really, really funny. Of course, by the end, it might get a little old. Most comedies do. But I still liked it all the way through. And I thought his character was really endearing. And I'm actually looking forward to watching the second movie. I was going to watch it this week, and I just didn't get around to it. So I am looking forward to Happy Gilmore 2. And I'm going to give Happy Gilmore, if you've never seen it, this is getting a high recommendation because I don't like comedies that much. And I loved this movie. And for me to rave about an Adam Sandler movie, it's a good one. So, like I said, oh, my cat wants to get out. Hold on. Hi, go on. I'm sure that wasn't very flattering. Look at all the dogs popped out because they're like, what's going on? All right. So if I didn't let my cat out, all the dogs would like start jumping on her, and I couldn't have that. Okay. Next, I watched two seasons of shows. And the first one I'm going to talk about is a show called The Lazarus Project. And this one is, I believe, a British show, and it's on Netflix. And I thoroughly enjoyed this show. But again, it's about time travel and time loops. That's what drew me in. Like when I saw that, I'm like, I'll watch anything with a time loop in it. And this one was, there's, I think, 2 seasons so far. I'm into the second season. I really like this. So this is the main character is I'll just give you a little bit of background. Some kind of anomaly appears in space, and the Earth is going through it like a loop. And so it's like a checkpoint in space. And so for some reason, they explain it later, the government has found out about this, and they've made a project, and they have like I said, like a video game checkpoint. Whereas if something happens within 6 months, they can reset to that. And they've developed a serum that helps them remember. Now, there are a couple people on the Earth that actually have the ability to remember without the serum. And so they live and they experience these time loops. But anything that happens within that 6 months period gets erased. And that becomes kind of the impetus for what goes on with this character. This character is basically a good person, but he's put into an impossible situation. And I'm going to leave it at that. If you like time loop shows, it's really good. The first season, the second season takes the idea and builds on it. And that's something I really like. The first season was really well done. There was a lot of mystery. We don't know why a lot of the things are going on. In the second season, they're not only bringing in time loop, they're explaining what's going on, and they're also bringing in time travel. And I think there's going to be a third season of this show. Like I said, I'm a big fan of time loops and causality and all of this stuff. And I'm thoroughly enjoying The Lazarus Project on Netflix. I think there were 8 episodes. I'm not sure. Maybe 8 episodes in that show. All right, another show that I watched was, I'm probably late to this, but I watched the final season of Squid Game. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was surprised when the final season was out because there was no fanfare. I don't even remember it being advertised. I remembered like so much was going on when Squid Games 2 came out. And it seems like after Squid Games 2, people kind of just forgot about this. And this is actually the last season of Squid Game. And I enjoyed it just as much as I did the second season. There's no beating the first season, especially that glass bridge. They did something in this season that was similar, and it was really well done. But that glass bridge episode is so good. And I think the way you can describe this season is it's more the same. If you liked what happened in seasons 1 and 2, then you're going to like season 3. But if you had enough, if you were like, well, okay, I get the idea, then you probably won't want to watch season 3. But I really enjoyed it. There's the cast. And there was a really interesting cameo at the end. I'm not going to spoil it, but I guess they're setting up where David Fincher is either going to produce or direct an American version of Squid Games. And it's not a version of it. It's set in the same world. So I guess there's a Korean Squid Games, but there's also different Squid Games throughout the world. And we're going to get a glimpse into the one that's happening in the United States. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Squid Games 3. And they brought in a really interesting contestant. I'm not going to spoil it. They bring the contestant in the middle of the games. It's very, and it upsets the entire dynamic of the game. It's a lot of fun to see the ruthlessness of the characters in the show who want to survive and get that money. Okay, so I did the movies, I did the shows, and so now it's time. I have books and comics left, so I'm going to save the comics for last. The books might take me a little bit, and you're going to see why. But first, let's talk about this short story called "Who Goes There." Now, this was the original story that was made into The Thing, both the James Arness movie and then the John Carpenter movie. James Arness being the actor in the movie, and then John Carpenter being the director of the second one. And you know, where there's a group of scientists in the Arctic, and they find an alien that can shapeshift. And this was a very interesting story. I'm not going to say that it's better than the movie. I think the visuals in this movie really do bring it to life, but there's still a lot of really interesting ideas that are in this. Also, in the John Carpenter movie, you've got all the characters and you get to know them kind of well and how they interact, whereas in this story it's really short, and so you don't get all that character building like in the movie. A book that I read was, I think this is like the 9th book in the series, and this is the Matthew Scudder series by Lawrence Block, and this one was called A Dance at the Slaughterhouse. Now, in this one, Matthew Scudder is on a case. He's asked to investigate a homicide where a man was tied up in his home and his wife was beaten to death in front of him and also violated. But people are suspecting. No problem. Thank you for putting a comment. So Matthew Scudder is investigating because a lot of people think that the man murdered his wife, but they want to know why, because he's like, well, how he did it, because he was tied up. So they have to figure out, how did he kill his wife if he were tied up when it happened? Were there other people involved? What was going on? So Matthew Scudder's investigating this, but as he's investigating it, a man comes to him with a weird videotape. And the videotape is a snuff film. And Matthew Scudder starts investigating that. And just like all the other books in this series, this book was great. Now, a lot of the books have been really, really good because they do focus on his fight with alcoholism. They do mention it a lot in this book, but there's no real parts where there's like him fighting his addiction per se, but it's still a really, really good book. And I'm still, after 9 books, I think it's 9, it could be even 10, I don't even know, I'm still really enjoying this series, and I still highly recommend this guy. He's a really good writer. And I know Scott has mentioned before that he really likes this author. So I'm definitely going to keep reading this. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is I read this. So I don't know if you remember, but I bought a whole ton of these science fiction pulp magazines. And they're just sitting in my garage, and I was moving things around. I'm like, you know what? I got to start reading these. And so I grabbed this one from August of 1959. And as you could probably see, I made it through half of this book. And so I'm actually going to talk about the stories and the authors and also the illustrators. Now, the cover illustration is simply credited as Wood. Now, I don't know if that's Wally Wood or not, but it's, I don't know if you can see it right there. It says cover by Wood, 1 down, 1 up. So you could see there's, 1 down, 1 up. And he also illustrates, I believe, the first story. And instead of showing you the pictures from this pretty fragile book, I actually took pictures, and I'm going to show those. So the first story is No Life of Their Own, which is illustrated by Wood, and it's by Clifford D. Simak. Now, Clifford D. Simak is an author who's won the Hugo 3 times, and he's won the Nebula once. And he's most associated with the pastoral science fiction subgenre. And that's actually evident in this story. And that's where the settings of the stories are most often in like rural areas, even if they're on other planets. And this takes place in a farming community where there are lots of species, or I should say aliens, and it takes place among the children and their parents. And the children of all these different aliens are learning to live together in this pastoral community. And one of them has an evil streak. It's this kid. His name is, I don't know if you can say that. His name is Fancy Pants. And he's got a higher level of kind of powers than the other kids, and he kind of lords it over them. And like I said, he's got, I took a picture of I wonder why that doesn't, oh, there we go. Kind of, let me go back. So he lords it over the other kids, and he, I'm wondering why. I've never had a problem with my iPad not focusing, but as I use this computer, it's hard for it to focus. That's weird, because when I use my other my laptop, I don't have problems with it being so bright. I wonder if I turn down the brightness, if that would help. And watch me struggle to do this. I'm gonna try. I don't know if I can do it on my iPad. Oh well, I'll just have to figure it out later. Anyways, this is another image where we've got one of them is trying. This is the conceit of the story. There's a device in the garage, and they think it's a time travel device, but it's not. It's really a portal to another dimension, and there are these beings there that are all around us, and they can see us, but we can't see them, and they kind of want the things that we have. And the kids, the mean one accidentally sent, or no, not on accident. He wants revenge on one of them, so he sends him to through what he thinks is the time machine, but it's actually the portal to that other dimension. It's actually a really, really good story, and it was a really good way to start this magazine. So yeah, I'm going to say I really enjoyed that one. Here's another example of where the boy is in the other dimension. Damn it, you can't see it. I don't know why it's not. What if I do it closer? Yeah, maybe if I do it closer like that, it comes into view. And you can also see that, although it's very awkward, you can also see those are the beings in that other dimension, and that boy is coming through. I have to hold it like this portal. Yeah, there we go. It is what it is. All right, the next story is called Citizen Gel. And this one is by Michael Shara. Oh, you know what? I actually took pictures also of the... Oh, did I port them over? Oh, I don't think I ported them over. I actually took pictures of the authors. But this one is by Michael Shara, and he actually won the Pulitzer Prize for his Civil War novel, The Killer Angels. And this one was illustrated. This and the next story is illustrated by Dick Francis. Now, let me see if I can get this one up. So when you see his drawings are a little bit muddier. I'm going to see if, yeah. There we go. Maybe if I do like that, you can see it better. So this is about an alien who has advanced technologies, and the planet that he comes from is so crowded that he in secret wants to settle on Earth to get away from where he lives. But that's not allowed because Earth is we're kind of like savages. They have advanced technology, and it's not allowed for them to settle here. And he sees the suffering going on, and he has this machine that can create anything, but if he uses it, it kind of like sends a signal to the mother box and then sends the stuff. And so they would instantly know where he is. But he's in turmoil because he sees all the suffering going on. You know, people who need medicine, people who have accidents, and he could fix everybody. And so even though he wants to stay hidden and live out his life on Earth, where it's compared to where he's from, it's like paradise, he also struggles with his conscience. It was a very good story. I've got 3 more. The next one is called For Your Information. And this one I started reading and I skipped. And the reason that is, it's not sci-fi, it's science. So this author is actually a scientist. I looked him up, and he would explain scientific concepts to his audience and answer their letters and their questions in their letters. So I started reading this, and it was so boring because he was talking about gravitations and how they go around the sun and different bodies. And, for someone who's really, really interested in the minutiae of science, this would have been interesting, but I didn't want to read it. Sorry. So like he was explaining this diagram, which has all the different rotations, and it talked about the perihelion and the aphelion, and it was all really, really interesting. But I didn't want to learn that. I was reading it late at night, and I was like, no, I don't want that. Okay. Now, the next story was just okay. It wasn't horrible. And this one was called The Spicy Sound of Success. And it was written by Jim Harmon. And he mostly is known for being a historian, especially of the golden age of radio. So he wrote a story called The Spicy Sound of Success. And what's going on in this story is that there's this really weird atmosphere on this planet, and it affects the senses and makes all the senses screwy. So you can think of it as being constantly dizzy. So you're going to smell things that you would normally see, and you will hear things that you would normally taste. It's like all mixed up. It just, all the senses are totally chaotic, and these people need to get somewhere on this planet, and they only have so much rope, and they have to figure out a way that they can get there without totally being disoriented by the different senses. And then the last one that I read was the Mugwump 4 by Robert Silverberg. So there's a picture now. You might recognize that guy as art, because this is an artist from Mad. They just label him as art by Martin, and I think his name is Don Martin. Oh yeah, you can see right there. It says art. Let me see if I can scroll. Let's see. I could show you. Dang it. See, if you see it there, it just says art by Martin. And so this one is more of a comedic story. So right off the bat, I was like, it was okay, though it did involve time travel, parallel dimensions, and that kind of thing. So I did enjoy that aspect of it. And it has a very dark ending, and I liked the dark ending, even though it had a more of a comedic tone. And did I write anything down about Robert Silverberg? He's really famous. He's a very prolific writer. He's a very famous science fiction writer. And here's another illustration of, it's basically about a guy who's mistakenly identified as a spy, and they don't want to kill him, so they send him in the future where they have a better way to deal with him. But those people don't want to deal with him, so they send him across to another dimension where they will deal with him. The both dimensions take up the same space. Those ideas were all really interesting, but the comedic tone of it was just okay for me. Here's another image. They have him encased in a bubble so that his germs won't infect them. And the last thing that I want to show is there's this really cool, you could send away for these to put in your books, and they would write your name here. So they're like nameplates for ownership of your books. I just thought that was really cool. All right. So that I'm done with the books. And the next thing, the final thing that I'm going to talk about are comics. So the first one is, I can put this down for a little bit. The first one that I'm going to talk about is one that Chunko sent to me. And he was hoping that if he sent this to me, that I would review it. And of course I'm going to. So he gave me this book for free. All I need to do is review it. It's called The Kill Lock. And it's put out by IDW. I think it's a 6-issue series of comics. And wow, I would never have picked this up and read this on my own. It's just not my typical cup of tea, right? It really does look like you're dealing with Transformers, and it's put out by IDW. But that would be a mistake because this is really, really good. The art is different. It's interesting. I really did enjoy the art. I showed that already. There's just there are some panels where you're not exactly sure what's going on. They zoom in really close on some panels, and I would struggle to figure out exactly what's happening. But that doesn't happen very often. The art in here is really, really nice. But what's really good about this are there are 4 characters, and you really get a sense of who these characters are. Now, they are the premise behind this is that 4 robots are sentenced to death, but they don't exterminate people. They give them what's called a kill lock. And so they do this to give you uncertainty. If any one of the 4 dies, all 4 die immediately. So they have to get together in a group, and they have to protect each other to make sure that none of them die. And it was just a really interesting idea, and it was really well written because the 4 of them put together, right? Most of them are not good robots for one reason or the other. They've done bad things, and one of them is a particularly heinous individual, and it ends in a really, really interesting way. I would absolutely love to read more from this world. Chanko said that this might have been bought so that it will become either a movie or a TV show. This is really, really good, and I'm surprised that I liked it so much. But it was the characters. This is one of the robots in it. There's 4 of them, and one of them is a kind of like priest warrior. He's this gigantic one. He's really interesting, and there's also a young robot, and he's actually innocent, but because of a defect in his when they were making him, he's actually sentenced to this because in their society they can't have defects in their machinery. Yeah, and the other one is a kind of a working class robot who makes a very bad mistake because he's an alcoholic. Now, initially, I was thinking to myself, why do robots have to have human like foibles? Like, why is there like a serial killer robot, and why is there one that's an alcoholic? Why have robots just supplanted humans with all their characteristics? But I had to let that go and just, okay, this is a story about robots who have human characteristics, and then let it go forward. And once I did that, I was along for the ride. This is an amazing group of comics, and I highly recommend. That one's really fast to read. I would recommend. It's fun. It's exciting. The characterizations are really interesting, and I want to say thank you, Chunko, for sending me that. Now I have 3 more to go over. So I'm going to do, I'll do these 2. I read 2 epics. So the first one is this Annihilation. This has always, I think, gotten great reviews from people. I had read half of it, and then this time, for this week, I read the second half. This gathers together a group of different short collections, 4-issue miniseries. So the first one was Drax the Destroyer. Then there was an Annihilation prologue. Then Nova. And I had read those for another show. And then for today, I read Silver Surfer and the Super Skrull. And I think I started to like it more. The art in the last one is not my style at all. It's very, very cartoony. But I did kind of really like the Super Skrull section. Although there's one thing about it that I really disliked. I'm not going to go into that. The Silver Surfer section had pretty neat art. But for something of the cosmic scope that this has, I just don't know if they drew me in as well as they could. And I'm actually sorry that I bought this. And if anybody watches this and wants to trade me something for this, this is new. It's only been out a couple months. I want to get rid of it. I want something older because I wasn't digging it. It's not horrible. And I think for somebody who likes more modern comics, you might like this more than I do. So that's going to lead me to this one. So this is the Fantastic Four, the Ultimate Fantastic Four. And I think this is the third series that I've read in the Ultimate Universe. I think I've read Ultimate Spider-Man and I read Ultimate Avengers, I think. And I loved both of them. And I'm going to say that this continues it. This is really, really good. Number one, it's fast. Number two, it's got some pretty good art. It's not amazing, but there is really nice art. And some of the panels would really be like, oh, wow, that's just beautiful. And in fact, as I was reading through this, there was a thing, the thing was on the cover of one of these issues, and I had actually bought that comic. And the problem with the Ultimate Universe is there's on the covers, there's usually a band on each side, but in here, the art only shows the thing without the band. So it's actually better done. Let me see if here's a great double page spread. So what happens in this? So the first 6 issues, we get an origin of the Ultimate Universe origin of the Fantastic Four. And I'm going to have to say that I thought this origin was way more satisfying than the traditional one. And then they go right into fighting with the Mole Man. Is everything going to be perfect? No, because they're rewriting a traditional story, right, that we really like. And so people will, quibble about this or that. But I think overall it was done really, really well. Now, in the second part, which is issues 7 through 12, they're fighting Dr. Doom. And Dr. Doom was one of their classmates. So here you can see, like, I actually did not like the way Doom looked. I mean, as you can see, to me, that was one of my quibbles with this book. But it was like the story isn't bad. And then the last section, issues 13 to 18, is where they're going into the negative zone, and they meet Annihilus. Let me see if I can get a picture. There's Annihilus right there, where they first meet him. Overall, very fun. Here's an example where the art is cut by those lines on the side. So overall, I really enjoyed this. It's fast. I read this in 2 sittings, and that's not always good, but this flowed. It was really good. So I recommend the Ultimate Fantastic Four, which has just been released. And the final one that I'm going to talk about today, let me see if that's correct. Kill Lock, Annihilation, Ultimate. Yeah, Henry and Glenn. So Sleepy Reader gave me this this collection of Henry and Glenn, and I read another 60 pages. So I doubled what I read, because for when I first reviewed this, I had read 60 pages. And this continues to be just silly fun about a Satanist. Is Satanist supposed to be funny? I don't know. I was supposed to think that's a funny topic. It is in this book, and I did take some pictures to show you. So let me go ahead and show those. So here, I mean, look at that. Look at that picture. It's hilarious. So at the end of this, I get them mixed up. Where's the these two fight, but then they end up getting tired out, and he's saying, "I always knew you were a chubby chaser." It's pretty funny. Then in the middle of it, is it Glenn or what's his name? Henry. Well, this is Henry, a Danzig. He summons a satanic creature to help him out. I mean, look at those. That made me laugh. That image. In the middle, there was this splash page. Whereas if you really know metal, you can go around and just see who they are drawing. I mean, what a cool splash page that is. Double page spread, I mean. And let's see what else. Oh, in this issue, the cover of it was done like Mignola's Hellboy, and it's called Henry. Even the lettering up there, really cool. Sometimes the art is just weird, and like a fanzine. I mean, you can't even tell what's going on here, but it's just really, really crazy art. This one was really funny. They get pulled into a satanic cult, and it's led by Lita Fjord with FJ, and there she is disrobing. It's pretty hilarious. She's running around and she's all hot and bothered because she wants their seed to create what do you call it? The ultimate Satanist brood. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, here's I thought that image was hilarious because they bring in Bert and Ernie. And that is it. Well, I'm probably going to say I don't think anybody wants to jump in. So that is going to be the end of my stream. I'm going to talk for about 30 seconds. If any of you want to jump in, there's only a couple of you around. If you do, let me know. I will throw the link into the comments. You could just tell me what you did this week. So I'm just going to ramble for the next 30 seconds. If I don't hear from anybody, then I'm going to go ahead and end my Wednesday night chat. I actually go back to work next Wednesday. And so when I do my chat next Wednesday, I'll have been at work and you'll probably hear me whining. Although I can't do that because some of you have told me, stop whining about work. So I can't even do it on the first day. All right. So I don't see any comments, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. So as always, I want to ask you to please don't forget to hit the like button. And if there's anything that I covered today that you thought was interesting or you want to add anything, then please go ahead and put that in the comments. And everybody have a great week.